Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast, episode number 76. Today we bring back Brian Krahn and Marty MacPhee, two Calgary-based fitness professionals. We're going to go over a lot of coaching stuff, including the good, the bad, and the ugly that our industry offers. Some talk of Botox and alcohol. Stay tuned.
We finally did it. We went to the dark side. We decided to become aligned with someone and try to sell ourselves and become a legit podcast by having some sort of sponsorship. Now, for all of you who kind of know us through this podcast, you know that we probably don't take it lightly, that we want to be authentic. We want to support the industry, and we literally don't want to promote something that we literally wouldn't use ourselves and something we don't really believe in. And we kind of had a unique opportunity because I personally know the owner of Stronger Experts, and he called me and he basically just laid it out there. He's like, if you guys want to promote this thing, it'll help me. I think you'll really like what we're doing, and you guys will get a kickback. We literally give you guys 20% off, and because if we refer you, we essentially get a kickback from that. So in a roundabout way, you're supporting our podcast, but really, it kind of just makes us a little bit more legit. And a little bit about Stronger Experts is that they are essentially an online platform that hosts literally I want to say 50% of their coaches that do live presentations, that have live content, that have slideshows, they have tests, they have everything you can kind of ask for. Half of them are literally aligned with our podcast. We have guys like Mike Isertel, Alex Viada, we have Greg Knuckles, we have Dr. Mike T. Nelson, and a bunch of future guests that we have lined up. And literally, if I'm looking at this list, there's 20 coaches on here. And the cool thing is, it's $365 a year, and you get 2 CEUs from the NSCA. So legitimately, for less than it would cost to go to a seminar, you literally have there's too much to count. There's way too many hours on this thing. So I'm not going to promote it too much and say that oh, this is the best thing ever, but this is a cheap way to get CEUs. It's a cheap way to get the actual content. A lot of these people are charging $400 a seminar for, and it's a good deal, and it's online, and you can do it on your own time. And honestly, I support them. Stronger Experts is legit. All the people that they have are legit, and they're not putting out shit information, which, Andrew and I hate, and they literally are doing things the right way. And if there was one thing I was going to attach my podcast to, it had to be something where, A, I like the guy running it, B, we get a kickback from it so that it helps our podcast, and C, it helps align us with people that truly are doing things the right way and the way that we would want to do things. So without further ado, we're sponsored. We want to promote it, and Stronger Experts is legit. Go check it out. If you use our code, the Fit Devil, so Fit Devil, no caps, you get 20% off. And if you do that, it supports us. So if you were going to do it through us because you help us out. Peace. Enjoy the podcast.
Shut up and sit down.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. So we got Brian Krahn back for his 4th appearance. So that actually, Marty's giving him the middle finger as we speak. You guys can't see the video. It's actually the first time we've had someone on 4 times, and I'm sure, we like Brian, so we'll keep bringing it back. And Marty MacPhee is here for his 2nd. The boys are great friends, so we brought them together. And we're going to get into a big discussion on coaching, the good, the bad, the ugly. The enthusiasts there'll be a lot for the enthusiasts here because we're going to pull a lot out that'll interest you, and obviously the fit pros are going to get tons. So welcome back, gentlemen.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We're going to talk shit for an hour is what's going to happen.
It can't all be bad.
No.
Well, let's jump right to it. And I actually was curious because we've sort of dabbled in this before, but I actually wanted to get kind of how you guys linked up and came to really be good friends and work closely together. And then we can expand that into a conversation about coaches, allying, working in partner rewards, and some of the trouble that happens from partnering up with the wrong people.
I've been waiting to tell this story for quite some time. So it was in my other messages or my messages for a while. Brian Krahn had messaged it, "Hey, I think you're local to me. We should meet up." And I was like, "Who the fuck is this?" And just left it for a month. He messaged me in beginning of November of 2017, and I was just left it. And then was in a mastermind group with another fitness professional, and saw that he was in there, and I was like, oh, okay, this guy might not be one of these shitbags I've been trying to avoid my whole life in the fitness business. So when it's like, hey man, what up? And you're like, we should have coffee. I'm like, I don't drink coffee, but sure, I'll go to Calgary and meet up with you. And then like the bromance started right then. It was like 3 hours of talking about like bodybuilding. I was like, this guy is not that bad. This is awesome. So yeah, let alone locally to have, like, I was in Red Deer at the time, moved to Calgary just about 5-6 months ago then. But yeah, to find someone that actually gets it, let alone coaching wise, was very shocking for me. And so yeah, that kind of started it up there.
We call that the long con.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's that's the drawback of coaching, man. Is that everything is online and everyone's remote. Like all my clients are most in the U.S. and I never see them. And so all of a sudden there's a person who's like within 500 miles of me that I can actually like kibitz with and see in person. And I was like, wow, I got to try this out. I got to see what like real life interaction is like. So.
Is that like an open invitation to anyone listening to this that's within 500 miles?
Oh fuck no. I mean,
I'll be putting Brian's address in the show notes. So
you want to meet some people?
He's been beat. I'm not going to get you going, but he's been beat back overtures from James Fell, right? Because James is in Calgary too.
Yeah, James is always asking to hang out.
Did he as a joke, did he send you his book?
It's great, by the way. Honestly, I should have been.
If I was him, I would send you like autographed copy of the book.
It's
Yeah.
We'll get to books later, but like the holy shit moment. I kid you not, it's a fucking fantastic book. Everybody knows how much I don't like swearing in titles of books, and I think it's lame. But we joked about that on his episode. But it's actually one of the 2 best books I've read in the last, say, 6 months. That and James Clear's Atomic Habits. So it was really good.
What we should have did is give Brian the book, but like etch out like the author, and then Brian's like, I fucking love this book. It's the best. And then
No, interestingly, I'm one of these guys. Like I buy so many books and I never read them, or I skim them. So it's kind of depressing actually. I got this bookshelf full of all this I assume are great books, and I tell people, "Oh yeah, it's great. Oh, that book, that's awesome." I haven't read it. I just look at it. It looks awesome.
Well, they have like reviews now, and not reviews, but like it's not Cole's notes, but on Kindle they have like literally like the book in like whatever 40 pages. They're pretty good.
Well, Brad's bookshelf is like his abs. Looks fantastic. Totally useless.
I was like, no, yeah, well, I accept that. Yeah.
And a lot of the books are photoshopped, just like the abs too, right? So
yeah, that I accept that too.
So can we have anything else to make fun of Brian for?
Well, it's his 4th appearance. It's going to be a roast. This was actually like we planned to roast. We just disguised it as like an actual podcast.
We have questions, but really we just want to make fun of you.
We're going to call James in shortly, and James is going to actually start roasting you too.
Brian's at the age where like every year he's looking worse. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
oh my god, you guys! It's recorded, isn't it? Wow.
That's his next article. You can just
it's like I'm at the age. I'm at the worst age because once you're 50, you basically look like shit. But 40, you're still in that kind of self-delusional phase. Like you can catch a glimpse of yourself, and you're like, damn, You're like, oh, I look great, or not that I do that, but I'm like, oh, I look,
You do.
And then you see a picture of yourself, and you're like, who is this old shitbag? And you're like, oh my god, it's me. So it's an awful. It's the worst decade in that respect because you're, I don't know.
I suppose after 50, because like I'll turn 41 in March, and I'm still getting the mirror like, oh yeah, fucking look pretty good. Once you get to 50, I think it's like, oh well, you've accepted your fate, and it's all right. Well, I can just deal with this now.
And I haven't done Botox in a long time, so that doesn't help either. So I look like
Botox doesn't help. You don't recommend. It helps.
Oh, it helps. It helps. Yeah. But
you know what? Funny enough, I'll tell my story on that. I did have Botox. One of my clients was in town in Edmonton for Muscle Beach last year. It was either Muscle Beach or Provincials, one of the two I was emceeing. And she said, yeah, do you want to like try it out? I said, sure, fuck it. And holy crap, did that ever help? And I'm 33. And I was like, oh, Brian, man, you got to have it like done like what, weekly? I was like, yeah, like it's just gonna, yeah. But it was definitely interesting. I haven't had it done since, but it was, it's shocking how much it actually does make you look like significantly younger as a male. It's just mind blowing.
You gotta be careful though. Like I've never paid for it. Full disclosure, I've never like sought it out. I just like my wife and all her friends, they're in medical. They have Botox parties. Yeah. And then when there's shit left over, I
into the back.
They Pretty much, yeah. They pump it fully to me rather than throw it out. They pump it into my face, and then it's that's the evening. And one time, I guess they got a little enthusiastic, and they pumped so much into me I couldn't squint. So I was trying to drive the next day, and I'm like, fuck, why can't I see anything? And then I realized my face wasn't working. So,
well, how do you have all these stories, man? Like you're like.
But anyways.
You don't even do it. You like literally sit at home and you still have all these crazy stories.
Getting drunk on a park bench.
Yeah. Like, Calgary's not that interesting, but you always find a way to make.
I find my way, man. I got to keep life interesting somehow.
I don't know what it is about
Calgary. If we had lapel mics on, I think both of our careers would be ruined by now. When Brian and I get up to meet, it's like, yo, that happened to you too. It's like, yeah, was that the same park bench? Yeah.
Well, I don't know what it is about Calgary, but Edmontonians, they think of Calgary as like a second Vegas. Oh, we're gonna go to Calgary this weekend. Have a great. It's a fucking Calgary. Jesus.
Okay.
A couple of my best friends,
hard up, eh? Wow,
they just love and fantasize about like going to and living in Calgary. So,
yeah,
that's because the Stampede though. Stampede is kind of like that's one of those things where it's fucked.
Well, literally, because there's that girl who got caught on camera.
Oh yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, I remember that.
She blew the Stampede up. Then everyone is like, that was like a music festival like standard. They're like, holy shit, we gotta go.
And then she became a stripper and went on tour and really just jumped on the whole thing. So
yeah, it's a lot like the Canadian equivalent of that "Cash Me Outside." How about that girl? Right? It's like I was looking her up the other day. She's got like 16 million followers.
Yeah.
She actually got a tour coming here to Calgary, and like it's sold out. All the comments on Facebook are like, who the hell is this? Blah, blah, blah. But she's like, was just on like makeup. She has her own makeup line. Like, chick took it and ran with it. Like, I would do the same thing. Be like, what do you do? Just yell about it? You're getting money off of it, right?
Yeah, but the fact that she's sold out in Calgary, that's why Calgary fucking blows. Right there. That's why like I never go out here because it's just like that. Like people pay money to see that moron. So I'm like, okay. So I just drive around the city. It's a very pretty city. I drive around and I take in the views and I just hate people.
That's why you're so pissed with the Botox. You couldn't see shit. You're like, I just go all these for the views.
You couldn't squint at the people going by. You were really just the whole time going.
Hey! I didn't say I drive well. I just say I drive. I get to where I got to be. What happens in my wake? That's none of my business. I just do what I got to do.
I'm going into that a little bit more though. It's like the local fitness scene, like it's not trying to jump on any coaches or anything here or personal trainers, but like to meet that person that like you've been reading, like when I've met you guys, Andrew there in Edmonton there at the Eric Helms and with Landon there, it was awesome, right? Because that happens once a year maybe. Like Landon started doing those. The last time I went to that was like 2015 or 16 in Regina, and like that's when Eric and Brad and a couple other guys were there, but like. Yeah, like to actually be able to meet people, like even Brian said, within 500 miles of yourself, to actually meet up and like be in person and say like, yeah, man, like this is an interest of ours, like that. It's so mind blowing to me that like where is the caliber of this stuff that should be there in terms of
and
like,
that's just
fitness period.
I've even thought about that too because there's lots of trainers and people in the fitness industry, but I'm not gonna say the select crowd, but there's the people who actually fucking take it as like a full on career and they're all in. And we don't have I don't know how to say we don't have a lot of that. That sounds really bad, but
it's the minority of what's here. There are still those people, and we are generally networked well with them or friends with them. So.
Yeah, and when you go to these conferences or whatever, like everyone that like really wants it and wants to pay for it, if they put their money on the line, they want it. And then you kind of get around those people like, like you get kind of almost invigorated.
I just came back from Dallas a week and a half ago, and I flew down to this little one-day ISSN thing that Sohee Lee had told me about because Lane Norton was going to speak at it, and I've looked up to and liked Lane's work for a really long time. So I got to meet Lane, sit down, like chat with him one-on-one at dinner, and he's just amazing. Like he's super cool.
Yeah, her dude's a really good bro in person. Like he'll take the time to talk to you.
He is super. I met Holly Baxter in person because she did our podcast. She's great. Met Jose Antonio, he's the head of ISSN. He was awesome. I met Brad Schoenfeld, who's incredible, and a couple of professors, PhDs, who are these jack guys with there's no necks. Like their necks gone, right? Yeah. That's a pretty thorough autopsy to actually find their neck even like post. These guys are thick dudes, and they're these PhDs in like Texan universities. Try to remember their names. Darren Willoughby and Dan. Crap. It's lost on me right now, but really a couple of cool guys. But you get these like-minded individuals, and then 3 buddies of mine from Texas all just happen to be there, which is really cool. And this is why I like going to these things. Like you're talking about like not getting to meet these people too often. I'll go to, I'm re-registered for Kansas City in May. I'm going to Spokane Inland in April. And I've met a ton of people at these events. And for instance, that's Brian. The first time I met Brian in person was in Kansas City at that event, right? It's not from Alberta.
Yeah.
There's a ton of value in going to these things.
And you end up talking like nothing about business.
Yeah.
Like you do and you don't, but like it usually ends up being about like our interest in this shit because like we're so like a lot of us are so obsessed about it that like we don't get to have those conversations on a day-to-day basis. So especially like you said, in this era we have less people in Canada. Sorry.
Well, it's I did find that especially especially if you coach online and you're all like me and Marty, you never leave your house kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of in that rut. Well, it's not a rut, but in that zone for a couple of years, that I made a conscious decision. I got to get out more. I got to go to more conferences. I got to take in more seminars. And like last year was probably my busiest year for doing that. Yeah. And it made a huge difference. It just kind of reignited just my love for training again. And,
well, you know what? I would say it gets you out of the rut and puts you into the zone. Like I like how you said both of those, because that's it. It can turn into a rut. You know it can, right? There's been days where, like, especially now where I live in Calgary, like you see my building, like I'm a 5-minute walk from every necessity, like a Safeway I can see out my window. Like even you're like a friggin' 10-minute drive or whatever, right? Which is awesome. That's big for us.
I know where you live now.
And, like, sorry, go ahead.
There's not that many buildings around that Safeway.
My bill. You know, it's weird though, right? Because I know that they're trying to turn Calgary in a sense into New York, where like they have like all the amenities. You don't really need to leave the condo. Like below me, there's like a Pokeball place. There's a gym inside my condo that's pretty decent, right? But like, getting out there and like, well, Brian and I even have scheduled here. We're gonna go down to the Arnold and see Dr. Scott Stevenson, John Meadows speak, and Dr. Eric Serrano talk, and like. Yeah, like even you just said that, like having things locally aren't there. Like Andrew, you didn't mention a single local event. You know what I mean? Everything was in the U.S. So like Brian and I are like fucking off down to there because we got it because we want to only do we want to meet these people, but like even as you just said, Dean, like this is finally not about business. Like it's not that I don't want to talk about business, but it's like, man, if I meet you and everything out of your mouth is like social media, email, marketing, whatever. It's like, do you actually fucking like this? Or like, are you in this like 100% for the dollar signs? And the first thing I hear you talk about is like how like little money you're making as opposed to like how good your diet is or whatever. Like it's just a fucking piss off.
Well, we do have one. I'll throw it out there because there'll be 2 events this year. Obviously, there'll be the L2 one again. And last year, that's where we met. Eric Helm, Sohili, Dr. Spencer Nadolski, and Martin McDonald came in. That was pretty cool for Edmonton. And then Dean Somerset and Tony Gentilcore doing their hip and shoulder stuff, their new revamped version here. I believe it's in June. I know I'm registered for it, whatever it is. So, and I'm going to get the boys on. And
there hasn't been one seminar where I haven't met someone, even the people that I haven't, that have been presenting, the people that have taken it. Like I think when I went to Dean Somerset's one in Vancouver, like Chris Duffin was there, and like I'm into powerlifting and stuff, and I'm sitting beside like one of the strongest dudes in the world, and I'm sitting beside that fucking dude. I'm being his friend, but like there's always people in the crowd that are, like I said, when you put money down the line for something, you know that they at least care enough to like search out stuff, and they'll have a good shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've that's one thing that I started doing a long time ago. I don't know why. I guess because I'm always guilty about. I don't like getting things for free, and I've always been that way. And even when I got started in coaching, I always would pay for information, even when people would be very generous with their time and say, "Oh no, don't worry about it." I would still give them something, or if they have a consulting rate, I would never dicker. I just pay it, and that benefited me a lot. That's something I continue to do. Is just like if you're getting value from someone, like just pay them for their time, because it just they notice it, they appreciate it, and it comes back to you.
And that really does answer some of this stuff with allying and working with people, because a lot of these people end up becoming partners because you pay for their time, and they see that you care enough to almost mentor you in a way. You know what I mean? Like everyone I paid for information, I've kept around in my circle because they realize that you're serious, and I think that's all the price tag is half the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's just such a respect thing too, because I mean, it's your time gets so crushed with online coaching. Like you're constantly working that when someone goes out of their way to pay you for it, it just I don't know. It definitely kind of sets you apart, and I find you just get better relationships that way. Like there's just much more value, and
people are gonna
so many people. Yeah,
people are gonna visit Brian now, and they're gonna email him asking for money.
That's right, man. That's right.
What's some of the stuff that you guys have experienced that you would caution people to avoid in future? I'm gonna tease Marty a little bit because we've been chirping at Brian. So
good.
my first experience with Marty, well, there's two. One, I saw him up on stage emceeing the Muscle Beach where I had a client in that a couple years ago. But two, whoever was running his Instagram account way back when had started spam posting that, that like those fake bullshit comments on my thing. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And I see this stuff. It's like, so then Nick Sorrell goes and is on our podcast and tells you like, hey, you should get my guy Marty on the podcast. I'm like, no, this is the guy who like had his account go and like post on
He's like,
mine.
no, Marty's legit.
Bullshit. And of course, I end up hearing more and more, and I meet you, and you're just awesome, and we keep bringing you back. But
it's like great post. Check out my account for great fitness tips. Tips.
Pretty much what happened.
I was like, my God, how the hell do I shut this off? Like those things were banned because those were like, it was like losing followers and like people were like commenting back. They're like, I'm gonna ban you from Instagram. So thank God I sorted that out. I'm really happy you mentioned that because like that's like the worst type of, we'll say, marketing or whatever, right? But yeah, like I appreciate that though. Like I don't want to put that stuff out there, but there it was. And then before Brian's getting the same thing, he just happened to have a whole bunch of not exactly straight accounts following him, and like here we are.
Can we actually like, because this isn't wrong. Brian had a really good story earlier, and I think that there's all these tactics. Like I don't know much about the gay community, but when they send stuff, they're like trying to like fish for likes or for possibly a date, and people have gotten dick pics. A lot of people, Brian in particular, but he had this really good one. I thought it was like a really good technique. It didn't work, but I feel like it would be a high percentage like play. Can you just explain the message you got in Instagram?
Well, forgive me. I don't know the precise technical nomenclature, but like I've had several of these messages where you got to click to see the pic.
And you clicked.
And I'm kind of a kid at heart, and I love getting presents, and just it's like getting a Christmas present. I'm like, oh wow, what's gonna be behind it? Like, is it a dog pic? Is it, I don't know, a sultry woman? I don't know, or is it great fitness information? Sultry, Rubenesque. Or is it great fitness info? And it's always a dick. And it's just
those are just accounts that I'm making, Brian, and just spamming at different accounts, and I'm like, I know I'm gonna trick him.
Brian, this is how you know you're old. You're that guy that will like literally like pay to get like the $1 billion treasure from a Saudi Arabian prince. You're like, I gotta check it. It could be right.
No, they're from Nigeria usually. And,
yeah, that's true.
I'm financing a prince in Nigeria, I think. And he sends me dick pics.
Same dude. He actually sent your email to everyone. It's like, this dude, he likes presents.
But no, it's that the first time it was such a kind of like a visceral violation. I not so much because I have anything against dick pics, but it's just I thought I was getting a gift of some kind because I unwrap it, and that's what I really understood, like how offended people get when when they get these unsolicited dick pics. I just think it's the next level when you package it behind something where you gotta click to make the picture appear. That's
the actual definition of clickbait. Right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Anyway, I have them on file, but I'll send them to you.
So, what are some of the other things you guys have seen, the bad stuff in the industry, or in general? I don't want to say this, just like bad stories of bad partnerships, or just anything in the industry that people should be kind of wary of.
Okay. Do you want to talk like coaching and protocol?
Well, we're going all over that too. I was thinking more on the lines of kind of like the partnership and alliance type stuff, but we're going to stomp all the fuck over bad coaching practices too.
Yeah. Well, like Marty, both Marty and I, we do our own thing. Like you do a lot. Like Marty has a lot of competitors.
For the most part, it was a lot of like either competitors or people that really want to get close to competitive shape for something like a photo shoot or whatever, right? And we talked about that a little bit last time on the podcast I was on about like the whole competitive scene or whatever, and just I don't care for it, and I know it sounds wild that I'm in it, but I'm in it to try to I'm not necessarily make things right, but like to put my stamp on it that this can be an industry that you can have those good partnerships or you can have those good alliances with, right? Like I just got re-signed. We'll say re-signed. Sounds like a movie star contract, whatever, right? Just got re-signed to do the emceeing jobs again here for the ABBA, and like I love that stuff, right? That's my way to give back. Especially now that I'm in Calgary, I don't have to get a hotel and drive for it, but I love being able to do that, right? Because the amount of times I saw either my competitors or any competitor up on stage getting their name pronounced wrong as their last name. Like, all it takes is 2 seconds. If you ever see me, like, I just turn around, say, hey, how do I say your last name real quick? And then poof, you say it, and then that doesn't embarrass them. That gives them more confidence. You don't hear Brian Krahn. It's like, okay, thanks for that. My mom doesn't even know I'm fucking competing now because it's Brian Krahn. But yeah, like, it just, and so for the bad stuff in that, like, I see there's lots of teams and things like that. Like, funny enough, I just had one of my good friends now here, Sarah Prudhomme. She's been helping me out with posing my girls here, and she's been a phenomenal asset for me. She came to my condo gym here twice. We videoed some exercises. We're going to do some posing stuff for her but yeah, like, there are people there. It's just like, have I been burnt? Sure thing. But like, to being able to have that, like, just really, gives me that I could get that rut and put me into that zone, right? But yeah. And then for yourself, Brian, you like, well, what's your primarily demographic there for who you work with online?
Well, I hate using the word I target, but I guess I write towards men, but I have a kind of a balance between men and women. It's all people who want to look like they compete, but don't want to go to your level. Like, they don't want to actually put on the mankini and get on stage, but they want to be in the lifestyle enough that they could, that they're in the mix and that they look like they belong, and I use a lot of basically all bodybuilding protocols with most of them, but I try to adjust it to their lifestyle and their training history and their priorities and stuff like that. So
I'll even steal the thunder here from the two hosts here, and I'll ask you this: when you lived in New York there for a bit, how did you find the alliances in New York? Like, that's a different ballgame compared to Canada here. How did you find that for the fitness alliances, we'll call it?
Well, that's the thing, man. It doesn't really change because I'm all online. So I mean, it's where your postal code or zip code is. It just all that really changes when you move, and I've moved quite a bit the last 10 years. Like, all that really changes are these external influences, and but you go to the gym, and it's like any gym. You see great trainers, and you see shady trainers, and you see so nothing really changes in that regard. So so being in New York, there was a lot more terrible training. You'd say, because everyone's a wannabe celebrity, but
sure.
In terms of what I do, I mean, it didn't really affect that. I mean, my compass is that's the thing. I had a pretty set way of doing things before I started helping people. I got my experimentation years behind me. So, you still pick up things. Like, I've learned a lot from you, Marty, and a lot of what not to do, I should say.
But the sounds,
exactly. There you go. Perfect.
But the sounds of it, though, like, it sounds like it's kind of hard to find good partnerships. Like, nothing in here sounded like it was easy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say there's not a lot of good people, but there's not a lot of good people that will mesh with what I guess you do as an individual. I guess that's hard. Especially because you need someone that plays off your strengths and stuff too. Like, because you guys are in different realms and you're maybe not partnership completely, but you guys use each other for like your networks, and I don't know. There's like some mutual benefit to being aligned with certain people. I'm sure it's hard to navigate.
Like the most invaluable thing is you invariably get someone, you get a client, and you're just like, what am I not seeing? Like, what am I not doing? And you just get someone else to, you run the scenario by them, and you just get feedback. And of course, you want to be particular with who with whose brain you pick, because you don't want to get terrible information or the wrong advice, as Arnold would say. So in that respect, it's good to have it's good to have a really small, tight network of really qualified people, and then of course have a larger network of just other fitness enthusiasts and stuff like that. But I don't. You'll never see me on Facebook, like I see sometimes asking, "Hey, I got a client who has this predicament. What do I do?" I'm like, "Holy Christ! Like, you're a coach?" I mean,
that's the PN one. That's the PN coaching group. Like, they literally take the PN course and they ask like basic questions, and you're like, "Do you even read the fucking first 2 paragraphs of your book?"
Yeah. But that's probably one of the bigger things that like I really appreciate having Brian around for, is being able to ask those coaching questions, right? Like, Brian and I have droned on endlessly with each other and like kind of gotten like mad and heated, like not at each other, just that like the situation we like kind of sit there for a bit and stew is that where is the how to coach coaches on how to coach. Right? There's so much coaching on how to build your business, on how to do this. And like, of course, there's like, there's the macro stuff. There's the precision nutrition. There's the Mac University. There's the junk online certifications, or even in-person CanFit Pro, whatever you want to pick it. But where is it showing how to take care of your clients? Sure, precision nutrition, then their second part has like a little bit of like, if they're high adherence and they're high motivation, do this or whatever. But it's not that fucking simple. It's like being able to read someone and like, and Brian and I kind of talked a little bit before about this, is like putting them into like your cookie cutter, into your box, is just not going to work. Every single client is so fucking different. Like and I know you'll hear that lots, but like, I don't talk to everyone about the same stuff. Like, sure, I have an assessment template, but like, let's say sleep is always bang on for some client. I have someone that's got a lucrative schedule and they're able to sleep bang on, then I won't pay attention to that. Now I have someone that's a nurse working a second job in contest prep. Now that question becomes so much more heavily weighted. So like, to fit someone into that box, and only that, but being able to ask Brian to be like, hey, when their sleep is sucking, what do you do for this? And then he'll say, well, what are you doing about this, right? It's being able to not only have someone else to troubleshoot, but put them through their, we'll say, coaching funnel, in a sense of like, okay, let's shake it to the bottom like a game of Plinko. If you guys remember Price is Right, it's like, okay, no, bam, okay, tell them to shut up and sleep more, bam, tell them to shut up and put the kids to bed early, or something like that. And that's invaluable.
Yeah, like, man, the more I coach and the more people I work with, the more it is like the sets and reps and the stuff that really jacks me up and I find cool is so low down the list in priority. I mean, it's managing lifestyle and stress and but not being a dick about it. You can't tell somebody, well, get rid of your kids, or your husband's an asshole, like that kind of thing. It's all, it's learning how to insert yourself into those contexts and not be way out of bounds, and be effective. Give people ideas to structure their life a little bit better, because as soon as you can get somebody into a structure, it's just like throwing gasoline on the fire. Like, everything happens so much faster. So I mean, like, my initial client call with people, like, all I do is I go through their assessment and I basically just ask them how they how did they answer this question, not so much what their answer was. Like, when I asked them about their work schedule, or stuff like that, I try to get behind it and see where their motivation is and see, what's important to them. So like, to me, like, that's where the gold is in coaching. Like, that's where you got to start mining. Because I mean, the sets and reps and protein and carbs and macros and that, yeah, it's fucking important, obviously, but it's so.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter at the end. Like, in terms of, as long as they're.
Matter. It's yeah.
I hate saying that. Like, the more I learn, the more I realize that, like, a lot of the shit just doesn't matter. Like, it does. Like, obviously, if it's checked off, but like, it's usually the other stuff. Like, it's just not low hanging fruit a lot of the times.
Well, like here's the thing. Like, just yesterday, I had a call with somebody, and we're literally arguing like macro percentages on the phone. And he said, "Well, I've always gotten lean, doing more of a 50% protein, 30% blah 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 back." And I'm like, and I'm sitting here, and we had just had a discussion about his travel schedule, how he's in Shanghai and then he's in Moscow, and I'm like, I can't log when I travel. And I'm like, why are we having this? Like, why are we arguing about 10% more carbs here and less here? Like, this is it's academic. It's useless. I mean, like, look at your fucking life, dude. We got to fix that, And then it's like this light bulb moment. Oh yeah, maybe that random street food I was eating in on the streets of Taipei, maybe that wasn't like, didn't fit my diet, these exact percentages. Like, yeah, maybe
that chicken wasn't actually chicken.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it just, I think you have to kind of take a step back. A good coach kind of takes a step back from all the tools and just focuses on their client and all the context behind that. So,
well, and that I don't want to say that's a horrible, like, it's almost like we're talking about, like, what are some of the horrible things you can do as a coach, and it's not to say don't do the stuff that you've been taught, but it does need to be more, and I don't think a lot of that stuff is taught.
I don't think you can teach it.
No.
The stuff that's in the certifications, honestly, most of the certifications don't teach you anything. If you are getting into good textbook, the basics of human physiology, basics of human psychology, definitely nutritional science, these are the things that people need to know. But as Brian keeps saying, in one way or another, is you will benefit from the experience of coaching a wide variety of different people. I've learned a lot. I mean, I'm probably based on some loose math, I'm a bit over 13,000 client training hours in 8 years. And that's on
Holy
the
shit.
floor,
Wow.
in-person stuff.
Yeah.
So I blast sessions upon sessions. I've been very fortunate to be really, really busy for a long time. And I love it. I can sustain that. I like working 7 days a week and then finding time for this shit. But the amount of stuff you learn from that, and something that you said I really liked, and I jump on this, it's not always what a client answers in a question, but it's actually kind of the way that they answer it. If someone is very emphatic about something, then I'll jump on that. Or one of my favorites is I ask a question and they'll go, no, not really. And I'm like, well, no and not really are two mutually exclusive things. Which is it? And you peel back layers and find out what's really going on.
Well, even knowing when to like shut your mouth. Like sometimes I know the right answer and I know they're not ready for it, so it's like let's just do what the fuck you want. Like you almost have to like play that game sometimes, and I guess that comes with experience, but it also comes with reading, knowing people, coaching, being exposed to more people, having partnerships where you can ask those questions. But like you have to somehow find the answers.
I'm going to say something that some might find controversial. I don't think it's really that big a surprise. I think a lot of coaches spend way too much time and waste a lot of their time planning programs for clients. I think that when it comes down to it, when you educate your clients on how to actually make decisions based on kind of how they're feeling or what's going on, you can write up a lot of program templates. And of course I write programs for my clients, but you go and put an hour in for every client session that you do on the floor, you're wasting a lot of time. And people are like, what the hell? Like, I'm not saying don't prepare for your clients. I'm saying that workout that you write and the meticulous amount of weight and reps that you program, that client comes in and goes, man, I didn't sleep very well last night. Guess what? That's all out the fucking window immediately. My point is this. Be great at making decisions, not haphazardly or on the fly per se, but knowing how to move with it. You have your program, you have what you intend to do, but I build that stuff in my mind. I don't sit down for most client sessions and go, okay, well, we're going to do 8 reps of this and then we're going to move over. Like, that's not how I work. First of all, I wouldn't have the time to be able to do that sort of stuff. Instead, it's more seeing how the client feels that day. And then sometimes it's building within the template that I know I've already built a program for that client. And then we go through what they're able to do that day. And sometimes they're stronger.
But like that's where some of the shit doesn't matter. It's the hammer of like consistency and adherence.
I just feel like you can do a lot of work that will be wasted effort if you are just really trying to scientifically optimize every little aspect of your client experience, when in fact the things that really matter are probably a lot more nuanced.
The biggest parallel I have to that, and my mom explained this to me, is like it's like teaching. So back in the day, there was when I lived in Nova Scotia, there was actually Nova Scotia Teachers College. There was an entire college for that. But I even asked her, is there a single class that teaches you how to teach? And she said no. And so if you look back at any of your teachers or profs or whatever, you had some standout profs or teachers. You had some really terrible ones, but it's not because of their lack of knowledge or because of their scientific database. I would even challenge that some of the best teachers have less knowledge and we'll say macro training, whatever knowledge, but they know how to frigging teach or whatever, right? Like, and you can even think about maybe if there was a kid that was not the speediest in your class, and like the teacher had the program and they weren't being able to catch that program, they had to change their teaching style because that's a good teacher, right? And so there's the same thing. There's no course on how to coach or how to train correctly, but my God, like I've said quite a few times, I could know a quarter, an eighth of what I know in terms of the technicality stuff and still be a phenomenal coach because you listen to the damn client and you adapt to them. Like Brian said, the lifestyle stuff, like that is it. Like you could have the most phenomenal fucking perfect program that's going to build you into Dorian Yates in like 3 weeks or your money back, year 3. But now you can do it. You're going to do it, right?
How much?
I've got that program. I'll email it to you. Dorian just sent it to me yesterday. I paid $5,000 for it. Don't worry.
Have you ever seen pictures of Dorian when he first started out? It's like Jay Cutler, right? Like you want to understand how powerful a role genetics play in like pro bodybuilders, especially. Go back and find some photos of Dorian and Jay Cutler when they first started out. These guys look like amateur bodybuilders ready to get their pro cards.
He probably like first time he walked in the gym, probably squatted 400 pounds for like 10.
Well, there's a story, I don't know if this is true or not, of Jay Cutler was able to bench like 3 plates when his first time in the gym. I don't know if that sounds ludicrous, but it's very plausible.
Dorian was like a street punk pretty much, right? Like if you look at some of like his older pictures, like when he was like 12 to 16, like he with the black and white photos, he's got like a tattoo on him. He literally looks like he rolled out of the movie Grease, for God's sake. Yeah, exactly. Hair slicked back and like there's genetics. And
He
like,
still looks like that.
Like, I would love to have seen like the month to month photos of his first 6 months. It would have just been like, this is my progress in 5 years on everything, and here's his progress on like white bread. It's like, my God.
It's like ad breaded.
Don't get me rambling about old school bodybuilding, man. This will be a 5-hour fucking podcast.
Yeah, you got it. But it's just like that's the whole perfect thing though, right? Like even though, so then when you to go into that further, if you combine how frigging smart Dorian was compared to most other bodybuilders, he did coach himself for I think almost the entire point. Like, yeah, of course he appealed to authority and got tips or whatever, but how meticulous the guy was. So that's the perfect programming and perfect nutrition meeting the being able just to go in and just balls to the wall it out. Like, there's so much to like. Blood and Guts' DVD is not a training DVD in terms of an instructional one, but holy crap, if you just sit back and take that 10,000 mile look and just say, what is he doing? It's all there in terms of how to be, we'll say, successful as a bodybuilder, right? Especially in terms of how much he injured himself, how much he stretched everything. Like, just it's all there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun with some of the bad practices, because we sort of intended to go there. Obviously, we've got to balance it out with good practice. But what's some of the stuff that drives you guys crazy that you see amongst coaches, and to warn, the enthusiast, someone who's looking for a coach, about red flags?
I'll start. And
Marty's like, I'll fucking take this.
Geez, I could go on for this forever, but I was just straight up defaming. I even had a girl who signed up here a couple days ago, and she said her entire first prep was like every assessment was like what she was doing wrong, and never ever like you're doing good or you're doing better, but it was just constantly defamation, right to the point of shaming. And I even first off, right in the first part of the email, thanked her and said, thank you for not losing faith in either the coaching industry, the fitness industry, or whatever, not being scared out of the gym. Because I've had that happen. I've had people compete and then they hire me afterwards because of whatever the coaching, and like I haven't been able to quote unquote save them. And that fucking kills me, because there's someone that had not only had an interest in the gym, but had an interest to compete. And now that is completely robbed from them. Like, holy crap, right? Like, so that's my first one, is I see way too much shaming, and not to parallel it and say that you should be nothing but a cheerleader, but like, where is the honest feedback, and just as opposed to or completely saying it's not my fault, not the coach's fault, it's you're not following the plan, and just like shut up and do the plan better. Like that's I could go on for that further.
I'm remembering something real quick, because this is actually, Marty, I'm pretty sure she's one of your clients, or you work with her, Alicia. So I'm remembering that Alicia was briefly coached by a guy I know. He won't listen to this, so he'll never know. And he was telling me this.
Already.
Actually, he may not. Well, we'll see. So he was telling me that he had her on 6 meals a day of, I believe it was chicken and broccoli. And and he gave her like a little bit of peanut butter. This guy has no qualifications whatsoever. Was trying to get into coaching the girls.
It was like, I'll steal the thunder there, because that was kind of in between, because we were still coaching together. It was after one of her shows, and then like she kind of said, "Hey, can you meet this person? Can you talk to this person?" And like, she sent me her plan. I was like, and she was gaining weight off. Like I was like, and then of course she ended up telling me that she was binging on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and it's like, not to put her down at all, because like I'm happy she had that experience, because then she came back and she did phenomenal in her shows after that.
Amazing
like,
now, she's doing so well.
Like, it was not only that, but then too, it's like she was recommended very insane drug protocols, because just that's the knowledge, right? There's number 2 for me. Sorry, Brian, I'm not giving you any chance to freaking speak here. But here's number 2 is starving drugs. Starving drugs. And like, so, and before, does it work? Sure. But not only your mental health, but your physical health will just pan out. And I'm really happy you mentioned that, Andrew, because like, I really like that, especially because Brian, I'm sure you get this too, is that you almost have like one coach syndrome. In other words, they hire you and they think you're whatever, and they have no experience with another coach or whatever, and then they go to someone else, and maybe they find someone that's better, that's fantastic, a better fit or whatever, or they see and they go, holy shit, maybe this was great with the other with me or with Brian or whatever. And so then, and how flattering is that if they come back in that sense though, right? And like, and that's cool, is that you can kind of pull the ship back into the right situation. But yeah, like how we don't need to talk about that again, about the whole chicken and broccoli or chicken and cucumber. I think at one point it went to chicken and cucumber, which was like even less calories than broccoli, for God's sake. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the calorie difference between cucumber and broccoli, man, that's gonna torpedo everything.
Oh well, that was the secret.
But you don't have to drink water then
with the other coach, because I was not telling her this.
If you have cucumber, you don't have to drink water. Yeah.
Takes that one step out of your day. You don't have to plan. Just cucumber.
Yeah.
Brian, unleash.
Well, here's a classic example, man. It's just like people who will, and I don't want to shit on other coaches, but remember when it was working alcohol into your macros? That was the coolest thing to do. And people had like, like this type of beer has this, has this many calories, and clear, vodka is the best, and everyone's going on, and never taking like a step back to say, okay, like what is this person's goal, and more importantly, what is their context? Like, what do they use alcohol for? Again, I work with a lot of kind of middle-aged guys, and means and methods to de-stress, be it alcohol or otherwise, are like, that comes up right away. And you can't just blindly suggest things and help people work a vice back into their lifestyle if privately they've been trying to get over this vice for some time, or they need to get over it. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing in coaching, biggest flaw in coaching, is people just focusing on the macros or that end goal and not looking at all the other contexts that, like, because you said it, Marty, but like people, especially with competitors, because they will get into this, they'll go down that rabbit hole, and it's such a hard process, and they get completely burnt out.
Well, and they're very good clients usually in those scenarios. Like, they'll listen to anything you say, and they're susceptible, and then you have the power to fuck them up. And I don't even know if a lot of people mean to do that, and that's where there's a difference between predatory and just being shitty. Sure. Like, predatory will work in alcohol because he knows he can get them, or they'll starve them because they know that they're fucking they're gonna do it.
Yeah, and that's why training competitors, like, not to shit on you, Marty, I mean, but like the macros and stuff, like, that part is so easy because they'll do it, and they'll report in, and they'll report accurately. They will weigh their cucumbers, they will, like, they'll do that, and it's kind of easy that you can just give this advice. Well, let's remove 5 grams of carbs a day, and it might even make a difference because they are such freaking robots, but you can't take that and apply it to Joe Blow, who has a business lunch every day and does the best he can, but it's just not, you can't fit him into that kind of framework. And so, I mean, that's why I find, like, lifestyle coaching, like the lifestyle client, it's so much harder in that respect, because I can't just fire numbers at them. I mean, in that respect, working with bodybuilders is easy. I mean, not the last 4 weeks. I mean, that's that's hard. But yeah.
So let's say that they ask you, and I know you've got this question too. Probably all 4 of us have, is what's the best type of alcohol? I'm going to go out and drink. I want to minimize calories or whatever. Or do I eat this or whatever?
Everclear.
And so they ask exactly Everclear, right? And so I've seen, like, and even I've in my youth will say done this. Well, I've recommended that, but the question I should be asking, like Brian said, like, is this a vice for them? Like, and now am I enabling them to now go out and get shit faced and then?
What is their sleep like the next 2 days?
Yeah, so on top now, are they replacing the calories with alcohol? Like, quick science tips. You can actually take something away here. Alcohol is 7 calories per gram. It's a lot like water in the gas tank. You can't really use those calories effectively, and then you got to spend energy to get the water out of the gas tank. But regardless, like, let's say that now I'm telling this person that's been an alcoholic, and now because they're dieting, they're needing something to escape or whatever, and now you're saying, okay, drink this, and then before you know it, you have a full-blown alcoholism issue. That's again, the coaching just isn't there then, right? They're not asking Dean said, like, the bigger questions. I'll say that it's never ever the answers that you're going to give your clients. It's always the questions you ask them that make them come to their own answers.
Because they're looking for the answer. Like, you can include it in, like, the what documentary, the Ronnie Coleman one. I heard this a few times because the one time he's like, oh, I had my best show and he told me to drink some vodka and I came out super lean, and then that does perpetuate the myth, like, man, I look shredded after I get drunk. Is that, like, a thing? And, like, you could easily, they're looking for you to be like, yeah, fucking drinking is the best. It makes you look fucking sick. And, like, that's usually the wrong answer, but...
Well, Marty, you just said something there, and this is something I've been thinking, and I've encountered this a lot, and I find, it's prevalent with men for sure, but I find it's a little stronger with women, where there is some sort of regular alcohol behavior, wine, this is sort of the socially acceptable stuff that may or may not be masking more deeply rooted alcoholic type tendencies. But in some cases, it's a no-go zone initially for them. Emotionally, they're not willing to give it up. So sometimes to make progress, you actually do have to work around it. And again, it just got said, Marty, you said like asking the right questions to get them to arrive at stuff. And where I've seen success with that particular type of client is not where I said, hey, you have to stop drinking. That's a pointless thing to say to someone, because that's not gonna change shit. But if you get them so enjoying the gym environment, they find that it's fulfilling. And sometimes people just arrive at this place where they realize, well, drinking is inconsistent with my identity, who I want to be. And then the drinking behavior starts to diminish a little bit. And I can think of one client in particular, and her drinking was never out of control, but it was just a regular part of the sort of the lifestyle. And sure enough, just really enjoyed getting into the gym, really super strong. And all of a sudden, there's less drinking. And then she's leaner, and she's just looking like $1 million, and she's doing cool shit like chin-ups. And you know what? It just reinforces something that she's arrived at is way more positive for her, without me ever I ever came near saying, hey, you need to drink less. I didn't even go near it. She just arrived at that on her own. I've seen that several times.
Once you feel better and you kind of add that shit back in, you realize what shit actually feels like. If you're doing it all the time, shit just feels normal. But then when you actually get a taste of the good stuff, and like what life can actually be like, then it affects you a little bit more.
Something that I was thinking along the way, use the word predatory, and a particularly nasty behavior that I've seen a bit, and I've heard a lot about it, and it seems to be a common with some of these starve and drugs coaches as well, is they will walk around in gyms and they will approach the girls that they think Marty's making faces. He knows where I'm going with this. Where they will go up.
His hat's off.
And there's one of several behaviors. One is it'll pay a compliment. Marty is getting hot. They'll pay a compliment, but they'll say, hey, you'd look great up on, you'd make a great bikini competitor, or you'd do great if you did this. If you only lost like maybe 20 pounds. And so it attacks the self-esteem. And if you get a vulnerable or slightly insecure girl who, it hits that right button or whatever. I mean, I think a lot of people just hate this kind of behavior, and I think it's awful. But I think for some vulnerable people, it does work. And these coaches are continuously doing this stuff. And I've seen well-known local competitive coaches who've had some success who are kind of notorious for this crap. And the other thing that drives me nuts is trying to bang their clients.
Not only it happened at the gym, but I've seen, funny enough, I've seen it at nightclubs. I've seen people go out and they'll find pretty girls, and they'll kind of approach them and say and they'll have their female competitors with them and say hey, you look great.
He's dancing.
You ever think about doing a bikini show? And then before you know it, and the girl go, oh, he's so good or whatever, and they're not even taking into stock any kind of psychological issue, any kind of eating disorder issue. I've kind of retained I was trying to think if it actually still is true or not, but I definitely at one point talked more people, especially females, out of shows than I have shows. Just because I don't want that on my conscience, right? To have a first place or whatever under my belt and say, hey, I've got 15 clients in a show versus 8 that are either going to be ready or whatever. I'll never do that. And that's again why I like Brian so much in that regard, is because he's not going to put any kind of psychological or physical health into any of his clients, because that's the thing. Because when especially the language I hear is when a coach says, I have got my client a first place, or I got a first place. No, you didn't do shit. Well, you know what I mean? I'm being very aggressive there and very black and white, but my clients got the result. I was 10-15%. I was the guiding light. I was the compass or whatever. I was the GPS. But you got to drive the damn car, and you can't. And to go to someone in the direct equivalent with the GPS thing is you going up to those girls or the guys or whatever and saying, "Hey, here's what I want you to do on a GPS. You should drive this way," as opposed to it's you try to reroute before you. No, you're going this way, and then the pressure's there or whatever. And just I've seen that wreck not only lifestyles. I've seen people come out. I have a pro female that I talk to fairly regularly, and she goes, Marty, I have no idea who I am now, because she was talked into so much stuff from her previous coach that now she has no idea who she is as an identity. I think she's 42, 43, entirely lost. And Eric Helms talked about that in the seminar there. Fanboy on Eric again there. It's because they have no idea why they're even training anymore, because they don't get the first place. It's who am I? I can't go on that enough about how the identity thing, you're not the first place or whatever, but the whole cherry picking or whatever you said, predatory things like that. There's way too much of that, and I couldn't possibly agree with you on that.
Something that drives me nuts, and I called it out once, and it was kind of a funny thing, is when coaches will take credit for things that they didn't do, or generally just take all the credit for the client. I'm very, very clear in trying to make it that, hey, this is the client's hard work. I've got a client. He's kind of getting pretty well known through my social media. He lost 185 pounds. This kid's
Awesome. Wow.
unbelievable. I met him when he'd already lost 100. He got in research nutrition. He's got better instincts for nutrition and like knowing what's good knowledge versus bad than most of our industry. This kid is smart. So he comes into me. He was airing out 400-pound scales. Didn't know how much he weighed. Came to me at 300 pounds. Just started walking. Just stopped eating crap. Just decided he was going to be a different person. And then he wanted to learn to lift weights. And so he continued to lose weight. And we've had a lot of posts about him, but I always say, like, you know, he would have lost all the weight without me, right? We talk a bit nutrition.
He would have found a way.
Mostly he just kind of already knew that stuff. So I taught him how to move. And he's kind of funny. He's 6'5". He kind of moved like a baby giraffe, just learning to stand when he first started the squat, as a running joke between us. But now all of a sudden, you know, I think he did a 185-pound squat, really, really smooth and crisp looking at parallel or below for 5 reps. And that was kind of his personal best just yesterday. He moves a lot better. He just didn't have a lot of coordination to start. And it's taken some time and a lot of coaching, but he loves lifting. He's really strong. He's doing chin-ups on his own. He's got like 3 or 4 now, body weight. And I've taken a lot of pride in this whole process, but he arrived at this shit on his own, and I'm not willing to take credit for it. Now, I saw online a coach put a before photo, 2-year-old photo, and a stage photo of a competitor. And this competitor did most of it on their own, and I think hired the coach somewhere between, it was like 4 to 8 weeks out. And the coach posted the photos and didn't say, hey, look, I took this competitor from here to here, but sure as fucking hell implied it. Didn't say, hey, you know, this young woman did a really great job on her own the last couple of years. And, you know, she hired me 8 weeks ago, and I can't take credit for this, but, you know, we did some good work together, and we just dialed it in, and look, she won. Yeah. The coach implied it, and I called this shit out.
They lose 150 pounds, right? They lose 100 before you. They lose 50 with you. And then you say, hey, this person's lost 150 pounds without that disclaimer. You can't do it. If you're going to do that, here's what to do. Other coaches is put up 3 photos. Put up that photo first. Put up the one that when they started with you. And then put up the other one and say, hey, and make a huge, like I like to use that like siren emoji and say, hey, disclaimer or whatever. I did not take them from here to here. Because like that's like shitbag credit. You know what I mean? Like that's, if you got to do that for yourself to either get more clients or to pump your own ego up, my God, that's got to be a rough lifestyle in that regard or whatever, right? Because I even did that a little while ago when I had a photo of the photo, of course, where they're on the couch and they're looking their worst and they're leaned in with their friends and they look really out of shape, and then they see their pre-contest or whatever a photo, and then they don't mention in there that they, like you said, like they did a lot of this on their own, or they would have done this on their own, but like just don't claim that would be like a topic number 7. Would be don't claim credit for what you didn't do. Like I even just mentioned how. Like, I didn't get first place. I'm not on stage getting that first place. It's them. I can say, like, thank you very much for letting me be part of this success of yours, whatever small to big degree that you believe it is, but don't claim that damn credit. You got it.
You can claim you can claim what you did. Like, I think that's where maybe it's just a different sales tactic, is like you can tell people what you did do as opposed to taking credit for what you didn't do. And I don't know what the percentages are, but I mean, you'll feel a lot better as a coach. You probably have a better retention rate because people know what they're getting.
Brian's going to throw something out there.
Yeah, what's Brian is saying?
Oh yeah, like that. Well, I mean, it's just the before and after is still like the most powerful marketing tool. I mean, it's been around for like 100 years, and it's. People keep using it because it works. There's nothing stronger especially for that mainstream client, just to get right into their psyche and just see, this is what you can do. And, you know, every kind of business person I've talked to has always told me, oh, you got to put more of your before and afters out there. And I have such trouble with it. Not that I don't, like, I just put one up on Facebook this week.
But I saw that. I was really happy. I was like, thank God you're finally doing that. Great.
Because it was mostly just pictures of you without your shirt. Up to that point.
It was me as a 3-year-old child, and then me today. I'm like, look at all the muscle I gained, you know. But even the one I put up on Facebook this week, she did 90% of the work on her own.
Of course.
And then even the 10% of the time with me. I mean, she still has the work. I mean, what I would take credit was I helped her. She was carb phobic. That's the thing I'm the most proud of, is that she was a total carb phobe, and it took literally. Like at least 18 months for her to start eating carbs and to get over 100 grams, to get around 150 grams, and not think she's going to get fat. And then she travels a lot for business. So I got her to get in the mindset like, okay, we're going to have your work when you're traveling workouts, and then we're going to have your structured ones, you know. So she would see every business trip as like a failure because she couldn't train she can train well. She'd be in a hotel gym,
Yeah.
So I mean, just getting her to change her mindset like that, I'm proud of. That I would if I could put it on a billboard, I would. But like her actual results, they're fucking amazing. But that's all her.
Well, and this kind of leads to one of the last things we wanted to talk about was like we'll talk about before and afters, but like that's a business practice that can be both bad and good, it's appealing to the market, so people are going to buy it. But what responsibility does a potential client and a fitness consumer have in not being fooled by, I guess, the bad stuff or the misleading promises? Because that before and after can be a really honest answer. I accounted for 15% of the journey. I did this, and this, or it could be the other person like I fucking smashed it. I did all the work. So how do users navigate that field?
Oh man, that's a good one. A really, really quick, funny story. I finally, for the first time ever, put up a before and after of my client Scott that did really, really well, won overalls and everything. And it was a photo of his back, and he had a tattoo removed from before to after, and it was like a big one. And someone said, "That's not the same person." but he had another tattoo of script, and it was both on Facebook and on Instagram, two different people's. Like someone said.
What was the tattoo?
It was of like something on his shoulder blade. I can tag you, and it was hilarious. I loved it. I couldn't stop laughing. But like
a big dick or something, or like
it was a gigantic. He was the one that sent you that photo. Never mind. Anyways, but
that was his tattoo.
That was his tattoo, right? That he obviously had to remove. He's like, God, what was I thinking when I was drinking, right? But so you had it up there, and of course it was a huge change or whatever. You wanted to get it gone because tattoos are still not really like welcomed in the bodybuilding industry on stage. They blur definition, whatever. So he had it taken off. But like, yeah, someone tagged and said, "Wow," and then one of their friends jumped in and said, "Yeah, wow," if it was actually the same person. And I was like, "Here's Scott. This is this." Like, and like I couldn't stop laughing. I wasn't butthurt about it at all. But then I said, like, you can see the script tattoo that's still on the photos, and they're like. And then I get private message from both of them saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "But that's no problem. But that's what you have to look out for. That's what was part of the question, right? It's like if you see these before and afters, head is cut off, they're not tagged in the photo at all. You can't mention them. You can't say whatever. They don't jump in and say, "Yeah, Marty, thanks a bunch for this," or whatever. Because like that was a service out there, ladies and gentlemen, that you could hire people that will give you a testimonial. If you just pay them and say,
really?
And they read a script, and they're damn good at it. And they'll say, "Thank you so much, Marty, for this." Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
Oh, this just reminded me. There's a local coach that I've heard a lot of bad stories about. Does contest prep stuff. And, excuse me. I'm in my throat today.
Cut me off just a coffee. I see.
People that I know have said that he's approaching people who are like fit and lean, and he's asked them, "Hey, can I like get a photo of you and like say that I coached you?"
Or even a photo with them, right? Like,
yeah. And then I've also heard this same guy has, on apparently 2 separate occasions, taken a whole bunch of money for clients, and then partway through the prep just fucked off, went down to the US, disappeared for a while, didn't get in touch with anyone, did this to a friend of mine, and somehow comes back and is still floating around the industry. So, like, one of the cool things about being at Evolve is kind of like, I get a shit list. I've had so many trainers and coaches come in that if there's someone with such a bad reputation and they apply to us, it happened with this one girl who just was a pain in the ass before. She's bragging on our social media that she was going to come to Evolve, and I'm just like, nope. So I don't talk to the owners, and here's the deal. Here's what my experience was. She bombed the interview that they'd already scheduled. They weren't going to let her come in anyway, and she had to disappear with her tail between her legs and go somewhere else. But I just have no time for this kind of crap.
Go ahead. So that's a really hard thing too. Is like when you said, how does the client or how does the customer navigate that? Because you can say, do your research or whatever. So like really quick tips is that like if someone asks me about that, I'd say go through my before and afters, find whoever you want, message them and say, hey, what about Marty? And then that find past clients. Don't find current clients. Find past ones. Say, why did you leave? Was it a financial thing? Was it that the coach sucked or whatever? And like giving them both, like just giving them, we'll call them the heavy hitters or your phenomenal clients. Of course, they're going to fanboy or fangirl all over you and say, Marty did so much of this for me. Brian did everything like this for me. And that's just not it. You're going to have fuck ups as a coach. Like I've had people that I couldn't quote unquote save. Of course I have. But like it is your responsibility to like, get a hold of people, not blindly just go for flash in the pan marketing or kind of whatever stuff there is there. But like to go in a little bit more on that, what you said about the whole coach disappearing, whatever. I've had at least 5 times, which you'd think in my, I'll be doing this for 11 years here now as of Valentine's Day in 2 weeks here. But only 5 times, but still I've had people ghost on their clients a week out, either. And it's so dumb. At least 3 of them have been like boyfriend girlfriend issues or whatever. Like as in, like they're interested in the client now, their girlfriend doesn't like them or something, like just bullshit or whatever, right? And then they're high and dry, and so they contact me and I'm like, you have to like that's not only a sinking ship. Let's say they're ready, let's say they're not ready, and to try to navigate that, but like how do you prepare for that? You like don't necessarily hire friends or whatever, right? Like that's a really hard thing too. Like, sure, could I diet Brian? Of course. Could he diet me? Sure. But that's a little bit different from like you getting your friend at the gym who is a trainer to train you. Before you know it, they get scared or whatever, or they screw off to a trip to Bali or whatever. Like that stuff does happen. And so I'm trying to think about, even just when I'm talking here, more tips for that, how to navigate outside of research is like. But I don't know. Like, Brian, would you say like to talk to other coaches? Because like that's a hard thing too, is because like I've had people that either for whatever reason have needed or wanted to, let's say, leave me for whatever reasons, or let's say they want to go to a higher level. And I've recommended coaches because like, especially if they're in the US and they want someone in person, like, for instance, I'll use my girl Sarah here that I use for posing. She does Skype stuff for bikini, but then I use a gentleman named Kenny Wallach for my posing for my male bodybuilders and for my classic physique guys, because not only is he the best, but I can't do it as good as myself. But like, you need to appeal to authority in that state. Like, if you're not good at it, so there's how do you find the coach too? If the coach knows everything, and I mean they know physiology, they're now a massage therapist, they're now a psychologist, they're now a trained tactician, they're now a fucking lumberjack, I would be running the other direction for sure.
There's something
else.
He basically just like picked apart Brian's profile. That's all he.
There's something else that I've noticed too for competitors, and be a little wary of. I found in the more traditional corner of the competitive industry here in Edmonton, anyway, there's a bit of a culture of suppressing an intimidation of client experience that isn't so great. I've actually witnessed bullying from coaches, right on a friend of mine's wall. A coach's husband going after her because apparently she just didn't have a great thing, and she told some people privately about this. I've seen these people, they protect themselves, and it's sort of a thing where they just don't allow these complaints to come to life. And there's a lot of pressure to not come out and say this stuff. So competitors are very much intimidated into not voicing criticisms about a coaching experience. Brian?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because there's a difference between, like, I've had a lot of clients that I've had failures, but
we all have.
Yeah, we all have. But the thing is, when someone fails and they, let's say they, for whatever reason, like their work just got crazy, or they had, troubles with the family and stuff like that, or just, like, they rarely will blame the coach, and especially if the coach is a half decent human being, and they're kind of in the mix with them at the time, going like, wow, you're going through a lot. Maybe we should stop this, or maybe you should take, whatever. Mm-hmm. Or even if they try and the client says, no, I'm going to do it. Like, they're rarely going to get bad mouthed. I think it all boils down to, I think it's always the onus is on the coach, man. It's never on the client. The onus is on the coach to just do the best you can, have the highest character, and it's never failed. I've had failures, but I've never had people bash me, at least not that I know of.
Here I'll go again, fanboying with Eric Helms there the first time I saw him. But like, when I talked to him because we were talking about coaching, like, thank God I finally found this person that was way above me in that regard, and I could ask him this. And he said, I always try to make it my fault. If they cheat on their diet or whatever, he'll go, you know what? I'm sorry I failed you, that I didn't give you the tools or whatever, or the confidence to mention this to me or whatever. The nightmare for coaching is if someone hides something from you.
Yes.
They they try to fool you or whatever. They'll say, oh, I follow my plan. Like, on my assessments, it'll say, was anything off? And then if so, what was it and when? So we can see for whatever reason, and so that we can talk about it. And that goes into what I said before about the whole shaming thing or defaming thing, and that just doesn't work. But that's exactly it. It has to be your fault, especially if they were they had the plan or whatever that you created for them. It's like an architect. You give these great guys, great carpenters, an architectural design, and it comes out looking like crap. It's one of those nailed it things, and the cake looks awful or whatever. It's like they followed your recipe probably, and the cake looked like shit. That's on you 100%. So, and even if you think and that it's not your fault, like, even if I know someone's cheating, I mean, like, my first competitor I ever had, I literally saw him out the Wednesday before the show eating at a restaurant. He just kind of went, yeah, man, it's salmon and vegetables, like, good stuff, right? And I was like, is it Wade? And he just kind of went, I just walked into the restaurant, didn't say anything, because what am I going to get, not only for like shaming them there in public with their wife or whatever, like outside I'm public, I'm in Red Deer at the time where I was a little bit of a thing there, whatever. And like, just like, it would not only hurt my business, but it would just destroy the client too at the same time. But like, you have got to blame yourself or be able to troubleshoot that stuff. Because as soon as like, and I know these coaches like Andrew, like, I love that you said that about the whole, they'll even intimidate, they'll get other clients to intimidate that client. Say, take that shit down. Don't say that bad stuff about that person or whatever. And even if it is true, and like, let's say, because there is garbage coaching out there, and like if you see enough of it too, that should be a clue in for the person to go, okay, maybe I shouldn't hire this person, regardless if they got lots of results, blah blah blah, whatever. But like, it's going to be all onto the onus of the client in that, onto the coach of that regard. But then I'll turn it around and say the onus is on the client to say to the coach everything as much as you can. But then as the coach, you have to foster that environment. You have to say, this is a safe zone. This is a safe place. You can pet my cat Carl and tell me things while it's going through your head. Be like, yeah, I had that pizza. You were right. You saw me. That was me. But like, yeah, that's the relationship, and you gotta build that. You gotta.
Yeah. Let me really quickly say this. I'll summarize that a little bit in a very effective way. Give
what you mean? I didn't do it?
No, give the clients all of the credit, and then the coach accepts all the blame. And some coaches, that's bullshit. Trust me, try it. It works really well. Another red flag in our industry is if you see a competitive coach or any trainer who posts this or some version of this, that it's a declaration that say, if the client doesn't follow the program, it's your fault. Like, it basically just deflecting any ownership or responsibility to coach someone through these challenges. If you see, and I've seen this stuff and I've called it out, I fucking hate it. If you see that run, that's not a person you want to work with, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, but that just brings it back to why I always say that I find my job really hard. And the more I learn, like the harder it gets. And it's sometimes I just look at the context that I got to work in and the problems I'm trying to solve, and you get all this backstory, and you get all these mitigating factors, and it's so freaking hard. And when I always take responsibility for failures, and the thing is, you have to kind of be cool with that, because that's what I will literally stay awake at night sometimes thinking about people that I've failed years ago, and I'll be like, fuck. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I? Or I'll find out something like, I should have done this. I had them training way too heavy, and then they burnt out, and then they couldn't get enough sleep, and then they couldn't recover, and then their mood went down, and then they got sick of working with me and they quit. Then I do all the math in my mind, and I'll be like, if I would have started them off on like a lower intensity, higher volume, higher frequency, I could have done this and this and this, and that's why I don't get much sleep, because it's these people that I've let down over the course of my career that's what I think about. And and then I got a lot of people that have done really well, and I just don't think about them as much. I'm sorry to say, it's the ones that have where I've dropped the ball.
A coach that doesn't constantly question their coaching, to me, is not a coach. They're not trying to refine their process, and they're not like, if you think you know it all, like even Brian, you've been in the game longer than me, and like if you think that you have every single answer and your assessment template is perfect or whatever, me and you wouldn't be asking each other questions. You know what I mean? We would know it all. We wouldn't even be on here talking about this stuff because we would know it all, right? We're like, why the hell will we come on a podcast and share this stuff? Because we're perfect, right? But you have to be refining that process. And if you don't, at least a couple times, like for a perfect example, every single Friday night when the show is on a Saturday for bodybuilding, I pretty much don't sleep. I could take powerful sleeping aids at like 12 o'clock because I'm glued to my phone. I'm checking in on whatever, like and the girls are usually up at 5:30 a.m. to get their hair done, to get their stuff done. And like if I sleep between like 12 and 4, I think that's a great night. But usually I don't, and before you know it, like I've got 5 energy drinks. I'm at the podium and everything, like, because
same name drawn.
So burnt out with that last summer because there was like the CPA and the ABBA, and there was shows for 8 weeks straight. I was like, this is a nightmare. Like I was like sleeping all day Sunday when I drove back but yeah, exactly. That
did you talk faster with those energy drinks? You just MC the thing like da, 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 da.
Like now. It would be like it would be like terrible. My voice would sound even more chipmunky than it is, and you guys would understand it. Yeah, be like, okay, go back, and this podcast is actually 3 hours. Just slow Marty down and see what happens. Yeah.
I really hope there's a few people listen to this podcast and they do it on like 2 times speed or 1.5. I can do audiobooks that way. I cannot listen to
challenge you to do that with me.
The mega challenge.
Do you know what's really?
There's the mega challenge for 2019.
Do you know what's really funny?
2 times speed.
So I James, we were talking about James Fell earlier in books, and this is how I'll segue to books. So James narrates his own audiobook for the Holy Shit moment. And, I'm used to James's voice, right? But on 2x speed, it sounds really, really different. It's really fucked up. I did the audiobook of it, and that's how I consume that stuff. But I just couldn't do podcasts. And Marty, I don't think I could handle you at 2x speed. So.
Oh, no way. Funny enough, one of my friends does the advertisements for like car dealerships or whatever, and they will actually get you to talk slow or whatever, and they'll actually speed you up, because if you only have a 30-second time slot on the radio commercial and you talk for 45 seconds, they'll speed you up. I'm like, man, I will do it in 15 seconds. You can slow me down to 30 and we'll be fucking great.
Okay, Brian, tell us one of those great books that you haven't read that's sitting on your bookshelf before we get to Marty.
I'll tell you, man. I think you don't have the video on, right? Because I can actually show you my desk. It's terrifying. It is terrifying.
You can show us, and well, you showed us it last time. It probably doesn't look any different.
They're all still there.
Yeah, it probably looks exactly the same.
Well, it hasn't been cleaned either. Okay, I still have to read this. This is by Dr. Brett Osborne. Get Serious. It's more of a TRT book.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a physician who does, and I've actually trained one of his clients. And so he sent me like all his blood work, and his labs were, again, like I just by seeing the labs that the guy did for his patient, I could tell that he's a very smart doctor, a very thorough doctor. So I'm looking forward to reading this. It's wow, it's heavy. See, whenever I pick up a book and it's really heavy, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put this aside. This is work.
That's how Brian
open up some. Let's send him some Dr. Seuss.
This is Brian's top 10 for 2019. It's like, well, this one's the heaviest, so it goes here.
He'll get him started on some Dr. Seuss and build some momentum, and then we'll get him one of the books that has some swearing on the title. That, like I like to say, the twilight of the genre, and then he can finally work into some good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Marty.
So get Serious is his recommendation. It's heavy. Yeah. The doctor's
TRT
legit.
Stuff.
Yeah, the doctor's legit. I would read that based on that recommendation.
I'm interested too. Marty, what do you got for us?
So definitely, I would say the best book I read, and like I do the exact same thing as you, Andrew. Like my Audible is my thing when I go for walks or whatever. That's how I consume stuff too. Just that's my shitty form of multitasking though, right? But definitely Atomic Habits. Like I've implemented that into my coaching as well. Just the small stuff. I love so much of what James had to say. I didn't know he was doing it for so long, but he was, and then this was like his magnum opus for sure. Like I would love to watch the dude talk, like because he's awesome, even his own tips or whatever. But here I'm just trying to find it here on my list because I read. Or like, well, when I say read, I like listened to it. It was one on how to. It was like from a CIA guy or an FBI guy. Let me see if I can find it here really quick. Blah 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 blah.
Is that the negotiation book?
Yeah, it was.
Chris Voss.
Here we go. Never Split the Difference. Negotiating your life and experiences on it by Chris Voss. And this dude was an FBI interrogator, and like he talks about like how to talk to clients and how to not only get them to like. There's a big huge difference between someone saying you're right and someone saying that's right, and I love that. Like if someone's saying you're right, that means they're just trying to get you to shut up. But if they say that's right, that would be them going, okay, they not only do they believe in it themselves, but he talked about too like the different voices in negotiating, and he had the one that he's called it the late night FM DJ voice. And just like if someone's so frazzled or whatever, and I've used this on the phone and I love it, and like and that's here's me slowing it down to 0.25 times speed. But if someone says something and you mirror it back to them and say, so you had like a really rough weekend with drinking. And like you just, and then just it slows them down. Like I know it's hilarious as it sounds, but you slow it down, and then they're not as razzed up like me or whatever. And this is like great for me because I needed that too. But yeah, just, it was learning like it's negotiating. It's how to listen better. But yeah, Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. Like it was a phenomenal book, and I forget who narrates it, but the audiobook version was phenomenal, especially because he does the late night.
Marty talks to himself at night.
He talks to himself. Marty, my blood pressure is higher just listening to you.
So, do you think yours is high? Like, if yours, like, I'm probably red everywhere here because of my blood pressure.
The best part was like the one time in the interview you were like talking, blah blah blah. Like this is today. You're like this, and then he has the shaker cup, and he's just like boom, like in Napoleon Dynamite when he just smashes the Gatorade. Like that's what you did because you were like so amped up. You like shoved the water down your throat.
Well, this is just it, though, right? Like, here I am, 33, 11 years into doing this, and I still get so fired up about this shit. That night, I get to see Brian on screen, I'm like, God damn, man, there you are. That's what's up.
Well, guys, if you want to hear more of Marty and his animation, he's got his own podcast that he has with a friend. So if you want to plug that real quick, And then
Sure, yeah, it's the Mind Body broadcast. We have it both on Libsyn and on iTunes. You can find that there. Like I usually try to post the new episodes. We try to put it out weekly I put it on my Instagram. I put it on my Facebook too. Yep, for sure.
And then so how does everybody find you? I mean, Brian, by now, if they don't know how to find you, they don't fucking care or want to follow you. We've already shared
and
it.
I respect that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I probably agree with that. So I mean, that's, yeah.
Brian doesn't even use social media.
I'm very envious of Brian's Facebook activity because he just crushes it on there all the time. Your writing's great, man. Your blogs are great or whatever. But to be able to find me, because anyone just types in Brian fucking Krahn, and before you know it on Google they pop up. But I'm at Mega Marty Coach on Instagram. Like he probably Mega Marty MacPhee will find me on Facebook too. But yeah, that's I usually am more active on Instagram and definitely on the podcast for sure right now.
Sweet.
Well, I should ask Marty, you're trading my wife. How's she doing?
She's back on the wagon now. She's doing great. She said every single second I get away from him is just godlike for my physique. No, she's awesome. Yeah, like I'm like, and that was one of the most flattering things. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Is like Brian reached out and said, "Hey, you need to train my wife," and I was like,
It's not flattering, man.
What does this mean? Yeah, of course, it wasn't flattering. Sure, it wasn't. But yeah, like I think that was super kind of cool. If my cat really needed a diet, Brian would be the one doing it. Especially
Is Brian on the park bench tonight? Yeah. Get some sleep. This is great. You get back to yourself. Like.
Well, it's too cold for my park bench shenanigans, but
yeah, we're apparently about to get hammered by the polar vortex or whatever the fuck that is. Apparently, it's going all the way down to the U.S. too, so it's going to be like some evil shit. I don't know. It was pretty nice when I got out this morning. So, guys, this is a blast. Thanks so much. We're literally going to log on in 15 minutes to talk to Eric Trexler about more bodybuilding and supplement stuff. We're not sure which order we're going to air these two podcasts. Guys, if you're listening and if you finally for the first time heard Brian, we've got 3 other episodes with him. They're really good. I think you might have been on something on the third one. We're not quite sure.
yeah. I was not. Yeah, I was on a lot of cold meds. But
you're on life for sure. And then Marty's also done a podcast with us, so it was really fun.
Marty was on caffeine for sure.
Yeah.
Caffeine and Gatorade is my secret, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. The shaker cup. You just can't see it on the video, right? Yep.
Yeah.
And check out Marty's podcast. They both create really great content. Like Marty said, Brian's Facebook writing is really, really great stuff. If you're a coach, especially, I really do believe he's one of the best coaches in the industry and one of the best people to learn coaching from. It's why we like having you back on so much. So I can't say that emphatically enough. You're going to get a lot from absorbing what Brian has to say. And Marty, you're just brilliant when it comes to the psychological mindset stuff and the technical aspects of coaching competitors. And guys, just follow these two. They're really, really great guys. They're good friends of ours. We don't bring people on this podcast because we think they suck. We bring our friends on. We want to share with you. If you're someone finding us for the first time, again, we've got a whole shit ton of really great guests and great episodes. You go through our list. You got smart people like Greg Knuckles, Alex Viata. People are smarter than us. Mike Ezertel's been on a bunch of times. Dr. Spencer Nadolski. A lot of PhDs. Brad Dieter, James Krieger. It goes on and on. So
Mike T. Nelson.
Mike T. Nelson. We're proud of what we've pulled off, and we've got a lot more coming up. Guys, thank you so much. Thanks, audience, for tuning in again.
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Awesome, guys.
Shut up and sit down.